Hey guys, so today let's talk about why you should have a picture book collection. First off, I feel like there aren't a lot of artistic careers where you can literally see someone's thought process page by page. Most picture books are around 30 pages, so that's a lot of different illustrations to see how someone was thinking through representing text. So if you're wanting to become an illustrator and can't afford school, don't want to go to school, don't have anyone to learn from, this is a great, pretty affordable way to be able to look into your favorite illustrator's head. That is a great resource to see how they thought through text-to-picture problems, how they chose to represent text that may have no visual language, how they like the rhythm of their pictures to flow, how they got someone to get excited to turn the page, what different formats of illustration they like to use, so spots, spreads, and then also just depending on what the story is, how they represented time changes. The book started in the morning and ended at night. The book started in a season and ended in a different season. Different animals versus humans, and how their style translates. Thank you, Lena. And also, if it's a very successful picture book illustrator, you'll be able to buy multiple books over the course of their career and see how their style has evolved and changed. Also seeing how their style relates to what the subject matter of the book is, whether it's nonfiction or fiction, what age group it is. Does it change between 3 to 5 versus 5 to 8? Most of these picture books I bought because I was able to either hear an interview with the illustrator or read their blog, and they kind of talk about how they got the picture book deal, how they prepared for it, how they thought through it, what struggles they had, that kind of thing. So I try to only buy those books, and then of course I make room for the ones that are super duper pretty. The first Rebecca Green book I got is How to Make Friends with a Ghost. So this is a book she actually authored and illustrated, and she self-published 100 copies or something, and then it got picked up by an agent that she just basically made some edits to, and then it got published by Tundra. So I really like this book because a lot of her spreads have a lot of white space. I don't think there's a single spread where it completely fills the pages, which is very different from her current art. Her style has changed a lot since she made this, but it's just such a cute idea. I love books that are about how to take care of a creature. I've mentioned it in my past videos that I really like cute partnerships between humans and mythical creatures or animals. I love like world building illustrations, so this is what recipes you can make a ghost, and they're gross but super cute. Anyway, so this is her first book that I got, and this would be like a dream subject, and she just did this for fun. I think she said that she was working on a client project that was not very fun, and then for some reason the idea of taking care of a ghost or a ghost girl popped into her head, and she ran with it for her own personal project, and it's just very inspiring that this just came out of her brain and was super successful, and apparently it's getting made into a stop motion. Another Rebecca Green book. I will say, I do not like the sizing of this book. It's hard to keep open because it's so thin, but that's okay. This is another nonfiction book actually, and it's about this female, not zipline. Ziplines I don't think were a thing in the 1800s. Tightrope walker. She was like a circus performer, and then the French Revolution started and she took over for her dad tightrope walking. It's non-fiction, but it's so like fantastical and pretty to look at that I would also like to make books about the French Revolution if I can draw like this. Her characters are kind of like in between what her style is like now and what it was in the Ghost book, which is really interesting to see that progression. And also, this is a great example of like using really muted colors, but they're still really pretty. They're almost muddy, but together they're just very peaceful. And she doesn't need bright pops of color to make it work. So everything's really muted. I already showed you that spread. And yeah, just the looseness of her stuff is so good. I love stuff like this where it's like a fictional poster. On this she uses spreads, and her spots are very structured. They're like squares. Love you, Rebecca Green. Oh, also this is a print from her that she signed, and I didn't know it was going to be signed, so that's pretty cool. more recent picture books. I think this is her most recent, and then she also came out with another one right before this, but I don't have it. I really like this picture book because it just seems very old. She's got like all of these borders she's put around everything, and it's almost like you're reading like a scroll in a picture book. And I really like how loose she's gotten with her artwork, and she talks about that a lot on her Patreon. Also, is this a great shot? Yeah, it's a really sad story though. Very depressing about a polar bear that experienced a lot of abuse. I mean, it doesn't say that in the text, but you can extrapolate that. And this is probably one of my favorite picture books that I have. I just like how simple all the animals are and scribbly, and just like you want to touch it. So as far as how she progressed the story, it's very calm. She didn't write this, but this is actually a very good example of a nonfiction book. So this book takes place in the 1300s, and it's nonfiction, which is surprising because the way that it's written, the way that it's illustrated is very dreamy and almost fantastical. So I think it's a great example of how you can turn a nonfiction subject into something that's almost fiction. So this is Margaret's Unicorn by Bryony Mae Smith. I love her stuff a lot. It's mostly pencil with, I think, digital watercolor. It's really hard to find online what she uses, and she doesn't have any like speed paints or anything, so I would die to see that. Yes, she also wrote this. I really like the way that she draws her characters and animals. Like all of her animals are really cute and charming, and they're like cartoony but not too cartoony. There's still some majesticness to them, so I really like that. And she uses a lot of spots in all her picture books. I've noted, well, all of them, the two that I have. It's interesting to see what kind of layout illustrators kind of default to. I'm trying not to show too much of the books out of respect for the authors and illustrators, so I'm just trying to show my favorites, but yeah. This is another Bryony Mae Smith book. This is about mermaids, again, a subject I would love to illustrate. And I just got it because I'm a fan, and it's a good way to compare. I think the Unicorn book came out before this mermaid book, and she recently came out with another book about a pheasant crosswalker that uses a sucker as its stop sign for getting its friends across the street without getting run over by cars. And the fact that there's a book about that is just so great, and I would love to do something like that. So yeah, her stories are just very sweet. I think she grew up on some English coast of some kind, so a lot of her books take place in like cottages and very naturey places, and I have never lived somewhere like that, so it's really fun seeing her illustrations. And most of her, I think all of her books have animals, so there's hope that the market is not too saturated, and we all can make books with animals if we want. And again, her characters are cartoony, but not too cartoony, and I'm a fan. So this is Mina, authored and illustrated by Matthew Forsyth. I got this because Rebecca Green was raving about him and how that's like one of her big inspirations. I also really like that his is like soft and blendy, rainbowy. His color palettes work really, really well. And again, I like the looseness of his texture, his use of color, and the simplification of his characters. I don't love he draws cats. They're a little scary, but the mice are super cute, and his bugs are super, super cute. And yeah, his layouts are really interesting. Most of his text, well, almost all of his text is just at the bottom of his pages, and then his illustrations are just cut off at a hard line, which I don't want to do, but interesting to see that that's a thing that you can do. He also has whole pages just dedicated to the text. His story is also one of the more interesting ones and have a message or anything. It's just goofy and cute and out there. Good reference. So this is a very, very popular illustrator named Anusha Syed. She's one of the bigger illustrators on YouTube and with a social media presence in general. So this is her debut author illustrator book, and I got this. She's just a very successful illustrator, so I wanted to see how her style translates to her own written book. She's also really, really good at illustrating interesting kids and making them all really diverse. Sometimes I get stuck with the same features She's got a lot of speed paints, so I really like seeing an author speed paint and then seeing their illustrated book and how that translated. I also use some of the same brushes she uses on Procreate. Unfortunately, my cats knocked a glass of water on it, so the back is all wrinkly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is one of my newest purchases. I got this because Mark B. Hoffman interviewed Sarah Noble on his Instagram live. He does those every Thursday. Again, I buy a lot of picture books if I can listen to an interview or read about how the illustrator thought through their process. So she talked about this book, and it is from her senior thesis, I believe, from art college. Thank you, Luna. Luna, go away. From art college. I hadn't heard of her before, so she's more of an upcoming illustrator, and also it's all about animals. So it's about bears, a baby bear and its mom, and I was really surprised by like how simple the story is, but it works. Not to say simple does not equal bad. It's just a lot simpler, so I think it's for a younger age group. And I just like, again, all the texture and how loose her style is. So that's why I got that one. So the complete Brambly Hedge, I got this because I had heard of Beatrix Potter before, but this is illustrated by Jill Barklum, and I don't know if she's a British illustrator as well, or English illustrator, I don't know. But apparently this, I've never heard of this series before, but the intricacy of all of her illustrations is crazy, and I definitely don't want to do that with my own style, but it's really great to give you inspiration for little details you can add in your illustrations to make them more interesting, because that's something I have a tendency to just want to be done with an illustration rather than trying to add more and more to it. So her level of detail is insane, but it works and it's really cute. So I just like it for the inspiration, and also I think this is, it says it's the complete series, so I don't know if she's done anything besides this. Unfortunately, I think she passed away, but her stuff is super cute. I think it's watercolor and ink, which I don't have a lot of books in that style. It's a little bit more realistic than the other ones, so. Got this book because of textures. I really want to do colored pencil over gouache digitally, of course. And I do not like drawing nature because all of my trees look the same. So I was just trying to see what kind of shapes she incorporates. This book goes over the seasons, but her vegetation is so almost rhythmic and pattern-like. It's very calming to look at. And even her flowers. Like, I hate drawing flowers, but I want to draw flowers like that because it's like simple, but so pretty. So her animals, cartoony and simple, but still majestic looking. And yeah, her color choices are just really, really, really pretty. And most of this, or I think this whole book, is just full spreads. So again, really interesting to see different layouts, and it kind of seems like you can do anything as long as you can make the story flow and work. This family living life in the country, and the mom's pregnant and she has a baby at the end, but it's like not the point of the story. But thank you for watching if you made it this far, and I would love to know what some of your favorite picture books are, because I'm always down to buy some more picture books. And I'll talk to you next time. Okay, bye.